It sounded like a gun going off. I turned and looked at my hygienist who was playing with me, and she looked at me and says, "Did you just tear your Achilles?" I said, "Yep."
Thanks for listening to The Special Lists, presented by Referral Lab, the podcast for dentists and dental specialists.
Hey, welcome to another episode of The Specialists. I am Jason Suyas here with Cameron Full.
Yes, sir.
And Michael Seda.
Good afternoon, everybody.
And we would like to welcome our guest, Dr. Adam McClellan.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Adam, we're so glad to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome, Adam.
Welcome, Adam.
So a little background. Adam is CEO of Periodontal Care, a specialty group with 5 locations in the Kansas City metro area. He is a husband and father.
Go Eagles.
Ooh,
Go
that didn't
Eagles?
take long.
Go Birds.
Oh, go Birds.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All right, that's okay. It hurts sometimes. Sometimes it's painful. Actually, there's a gal in my office who, when we were watching it, she's like, when Kansas City loses, all of America wins.
Actually true.
Do we have a guest here with us?
That's okay.
Sorry, Adam. I hope you're not too big of a Chiefs fan.
It's fair. I only have almost all of the swag that you could possibly imagine just around the corner from the studio.
All right. Well, we'll let that slide.
We'll push through.
He is a husband and father and is most proud of the balance he strikes with all these responsibilities. His most significant accomplishment is completing his 10-year vision of establishing periodontal office locations in north, south, east, and west areas of Kansas City Metro. This involves 7 different acquisitions or mergers, along with vetting and passing on the same number. That's really important. Love that. He's currently working to expand the scope of his sedation services by offering in-house IV sedation. Please welcome Adam McClellan.
Thanks so much, Jason. I really appreciate that wonderful introduction. And before we get too far into this, I just want to start off also by saying how appreciative I am of you guys taking the time to do this. I know you all have very busy lives. You have a lot going on. I have listened, no joke, to every single episode that you guys have put out. I've loved every one of them. I'm checking my podcast updates almost every week to make sure that I'm not missing one. I think what you bring to the community is invaluable. And like I said before we got started, I'm just hopeful that I can maybe bring something to the table for anybody else that's listening out there.
Thanks, man. That's very nice to hear. Thank you very much. We love having fun. It's a fun episode to do. We're glad to have you on tonight.
How did we find each other? Was it through Amit?
Referral Lab.
I know, but was it through Amit?
Yeah, Amit. Yeah, for sure. I think all of the really cool things that I have going on in the perio world are probably credited to Amit. So hopefully he listens to this and hits me up. Yeah.
Shout out Amit.
Wonderful episode. I had a lot of notes that I took away from his episode, as you can imagine.
Yeah, he had a good episode.
He had a great episode as well. Yeah.
For the Americans out there that don't know, me being one of them, I understand that there's 2 Kansas cities. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Or are they the same city, just half on one side, half on the other of the state? Like, because it's 2 states involved, something like that. How does that work?
Yeah, that's how I would describe it. We have a Kansas City, Kansas. We have a Kansas City, Missouri, arbitrarily divided by this state line, which, as you can imagine, is a lot of fun when you're trying to navigate different laws related to the Missouri Dental Board, related to the Kansas Dental Board. I really firmly feel, I'm not from Kansas City. I'm from a smaller town that's nearby in Missouri. And ever since I've been here, now 20 plus years between dental school, residency, private practice, I really feel like all the people are the same. It doesn't really matter where you are, whether you're north of the river, whether you're south of the river, whether you're on the Kansas side, whether you're on the Missouri side. I think all the people in this area are fantastic. They're probably just a big representation of Midwest people in general.
Also, the other thing I really am fond of about Kansas City is their barbecue sauce.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You want to describe what the barbecue sauce is for those that don't know?
Well, if you're going to have some sort of smoked meat, you certainly have to have something to cover it. And I would say that we have a wide variety here in Kansas City that you can try. I'm reminded that when I was in at one point for a physical at my doctor's office, they had a list of things on the wall top 10 things not to eat. And I don't know if it's specific to Kansas City, but number one was smoked meats. So I've tried to somewhat limit the amount of times that I go to barbecue, but it's tough. We've got some great food here, and I would put it up against any of the barbecue across the country.
You limit your smoked meats?
Try to.
We're going to get like a huge cease and desist from the beef lobbies of this country soon. Thanks for that, Adam.
You're so welcome. No, I'm sure that was really at the top of the things the listeners wanted to know.
Kind of like,
right?
I did all this prep. We've talked about the Chiefs. We've talked about smoked
barbecue.
meats.
Hey, that's okay.
And 2 Kansas Cities.
If people
Let's get down to brass tacks.
People
Let's
are smiling and laughing.
Let's do it. Let's plug it.
All right. Before we dive into your list, I want to get. I think one of the most interesting things about the noticeable things is that the practices that you vetted and passed on. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like that's an interesting thing. Like what's your list of requirements when you're looking at a merger group to a merger, and like what would make you see those practices and decide, you know what, this one's not for me?
Well, it's a great question, and I could probably talk about that in generalities, or I could talk about it in details. And I'll probably pass on some of the details just because I don't want to feel like I'm sharing information about specific individuals in the community. For me, too, I would say that until I got into maybe my third or fourth acquisition, I really didn't know what I didn't know. I went from 1 to 2 practices very naive. I honestly, my mentor and the individual that sold me my original practice was so wonderful, and the transition was so easy that I just kind of naively thought that, well, surely all periodontal offices must run this way. And this is, you put your name on the door and all of a sudden people just start flocking to you as though you're in Field of Dreams or something. So I made a lot of, I would say, just naive, probably well-intended mistakes early on. Now that I've got quite a few under my belt, I have a better list of questions to ask. At the same time, I will say that when you're going through a business acquisition, there's only so much transparency that can be involved with that, especially if it's a practice that could be considered to be your competitor. So that's something that's somewhat unique about that situation. I think some of the things that come to mind that are top of mind are really figuring out what is the dynamic of the staff, what are the ages of the staff, what do the referral patterns look like. There was a specific office that I looked at one point that was very heavy into direct-to-consumer marketing. And at the time, that just really wasn't something that I was willing to dive into. We are very much a referral-based periodontal office. We are very strong with our referrals. We want to know their needs. We care about their needs. We want to serve their patients. And getting into the direct-to-consumer world was something that, again, I didn't have any experience on, and I just didn't really want to try to navigate that. So I think probably I look for practices that mirror what we're doing is maybe one of the first criteria or an initial criteria that we would look at. And then certainly the location of the practice is a big thing. Right now, we've got a couple practices that are pretty close to each other, and long-term, it may make sense to have some sort of a merger with those practices. I'm not saying we're going to do that, but depending on the trends, we may decide that it really makes sense to just have the one location. So that's a little bit of the details that I look into. And off the top of my head, again, when you're doing this, you sort of almost feel like it's playing a video game where the more you play, the better you get to the next level, and you just have a bigger villain that you have to try to overcome. And
good analogy, by the way.
That's kind of been what it's like, honestly, growing and expanding. And my director of operations, who I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out on this, Ashley has been with me for 10 years. I know Cameron has had some interactions with Ash, and I would tell you that really she is very much the glue that has made it all come together. And I'm very happy and proud of the decision that we made many years ago to elevate her to the role that she's in, because whenever I'm looking at an opportunity, because of the experience that she has, I can sit down with her and ask her, her viewpoint, what's going through her head, what are her pain points, what are the constraints that she's seeing that maybe I'm not quite viewing through the eyes of that position.
Nice.
Makes sense. That's great.
Is the in-house kumbaya yogi spiritual leader.
Okay.
As you're talking, it kind of brings to light actually something that I've been really working on in my own life. And that is, Rumi, the poet, the Persian poet, said once, as you start to walk on the way appears.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. And when what you're describing is very much that. And like when you're young, you think you know it all, right? Yep. You get somewhere, you're humbled, and then you really understand it's not about like being able to see it and then going. It's like take a step, take two, see what's going on, take more steps, right?
Right.
And that's a big message, not just for dentistry, but for life.
Yeah, and a lot of the life lessons that you learn through other avenues, not just dentistry, have many parallels to dentistry. This is really the only dental podcast that I listen to for the most part. A lot of the other podcasts that I listen to are more leadership, business, even a little real estate here and there. And I think there's so many different lessons that you can learn from other people that are in other lines of work that help you bring that into your practice or help me bring that into my partner meetings. And to that point, Seda, I think that one of the reasons why I've been able to gain potentially a little bit of success at a younger age is that I've always been pretty decisive and I've always been willing to analyze the variables, make a decision, but then at the same time, accept that if I'm going down a path that is not that's not leading to the desirable outcome, I accept that I can just readjust, pivot, and go down the right path.
So I got to ask the next question. Great answer, man.
Thank you.
Obviously none of us are without making mistakes.
Oh,
and when we make those mistakes, a lot of times mistakes can paralyze us and prevent future action. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, from what I see in you and what you're describing, you haven't allowed mistakes to conflict with future action. Do you ever think about that? Are there things that you tell yourself or ways that you look at it to not allow the mistake to paralyze you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the ability to share that. You are going to get, what's Mike Tyson's famous saying? You're going to get punched in the mouth. You may have the greatest plan, but what are you going to do when you get punched in the mouth? And I vividly remember when we went from 2 to 3 offices, Ashley and I spent hours upon hours upon hours prepping and planning and getting to this masterful rollout. And literally on day 2, we took the plan, crumbled it up and threw it out and looked at each other and said, well, that didn't work. We completely screwed that up. Yep. Lost team members that we weren't intending to lose. I remember when we were merging at that specific time, we were merging an office and opening a new location, and we brought all the team members in individually to interview them. And right before the interview, we gave them this sheet of paper that had our mission and had our vision and had all this wonderful information that we were so excited for them to review, and realized later, well, that was probably pretty stupid to hand them that before we then sat down and grilled them and asked them questions for 30 minutes. They didn't really have any time to process anything. And after the fact, we got a little bit of feedback from the merging doctor at that time, and we processed it and realized, yeah, we probably could have done that better, and we'll keep it in mind for the next time. So we're just, again, willing to learn from our mistakes. I'm willing every day to look in the mirror and know I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing the best I can for my people. I'm doing the best I can for my patients. I'm doing the best for my family. And you can only be stretched so thin. And I think that speaks to the point that Jason brought up in the introduction. I'm very proud of the balance that I've struck with it all because I understand that I just can't do everything. And I would say this wasn't something that I put on my list, but I would say that as decisive as I am, with time, I've had an understanding of not acting too quick or moving too fast whenever the decision has been made to make a change.
That's great.
There's an author, one of my favorites, Alain de Botton. I would urge everyone to look out for his work. And he has a book called The School of Life and Emotional Education. It's the number one book I would recommend to people if they ask me if there's one book I should read. Alain de Botton, School of Life and Emotional Education. And in it, the last chapter is his 12 points of wisdom. What are the elements of being wise? And one of them that strikes me every time I read it, because I read this several times a year, to attempt, as much as I fail in my wisdom, I'm hoping the more times I read this one day, I may wake up enlightened and wise. One of the 12 points is being realistic. The wise are realistic. And as you're talking, yes, you're trying your hardest. You're trying hard to be a good doctor, a good father, a good partner to your wife, your team, taking care of yourself, all of it. And at the end of it all, you're also realistic that you're not going to get it perfectly. Yeah. And, some compassion goes a long way, because a lot of us as dentists tend to get into a more of a perfectionist state.
Totally. Yeah.
And when we don't get it right, we can take it really hard. And so being realistic about those things just makes the process easier. Right. Yeah. As you talk, you can see the ease with which you've kind of like worked through these things. And I bet it hasn't always been that way.
Oh,
right?
No.
As a younger man.
Yeah. Oh, no.
But with evolution,
it's that perfection.
For us.
I think that we're conveniently avoiding a really good topic here.
Please.
Well, I mean, maybe Cameron, before you jump into that, which I'm excited to hear what you say, I do want to touch upon that point, Seda, is that this idea of perfectionism, our MO as specialists is to pretty much feel like we have to know everything about anything. I remember when I was prepping for the American Board of Perio or the American Board certification test, and I don't really remember who I ended up talking to, but I wanted to get clarity on the scope of what I was supposed to know. And I think I called somebody at the American Academy, and they gave me an answer. And whenever they said the answer, I paused for a second and I responded by saying, "So basically know everything about anything." And on the other line, the person I was talking to said, "Yeah, pretty much."
Yeah,
I said, "Okay, thank you. That was a very productive phone call. I really appreciate it." And over time, I would tell you that just being a little bit older now, being a father, being a husband, I think you just realize that you can't do it all. You're gonna make mistakes, and as long as you have checks and balances in place to not make big mistakes, right? One of the things about that balance that I talk about is part of my vision was I wanted to have a better balance specifically for the doctors in my practices. I wanted them to be able to come to the office, take off their cape from being at home, and be completely focused on taking care of those patients and helping to interface with the staff and the referrals. I didn't want them to have to deal with finding 45 minutes here and there to call the payroll company because something got screwed up with somebody's tax filing. I didn't want them to have to deal with finding time after work to interface with the landlord regarding some issue that's negatively impacting the patient experience. We're still working on it. By no means is it a perfected system to the point of perfection, but I think it's a better balance than it could be if you were doing it all by yourself and trying to wear all those hats. Thanks for letting me say that. And sorry to interrupt you, Cameron. I know you've got something very enlightening to share.
No. What's funny is that you just segued perfectly into a topic that I was going to bring up that I really wanted to listen to.
I learned that from Seda, those segues, perfect segues.
And Bravo.
We've had the
Seda segues.
I've been the great privilege of engaging with you a couple times, and I respect your work.
Very nice.
I respect your management.
Thank you.
I respect how you operate. I respect your demeanor. And I think it's one thing to manage to work and manage with an associate. I think it's a very different ballgame to manage the expectations of a group of doctors. Talk to us about that process, about how you got there, because
Sure.
Seda doesn't have an associate. He's likely going to have one at some point in the near future. Suyaz has one. We've had guests on that have a variety of different structures in place to support partner doctors and associate doctors. But, the difficulty in that mix is the management of the expectations associated with these individuals, both as associates and partners. And how do you?
Yeah,
you have a different demeanor about you. How do you do that?
Well, that's really nice of you to say. I would say that I am infinitely better now than I was even just a few years ago. I think my partners would probably share that statement. What I ended up doing with each of them from the beginning was that I shared the vision. This is what I'm wanting to accomplish. This is the path that I see dentistry going down. This is where I think we can benefit by being together versus separate. And probably the thing that has set them up in my mind to be the most successful was that as they were introduced, I removed myself. So my original partner that works in our Northland office, Dr. Cassandra McKenzie, she's going to kill me. I can't remember which district we are in, and I can't remember the positions he's running for. I apologize. But all of the members that are out there of the AAP, if you get your ballots, be sure to vote for her. She's an incredible individual, wicked smart, passionate about private practice and everything that it brings, the challenges where many academics, as we know, just don't necessarily live in the world that we in. But to get back to the point, I knew very quickly that she did not need me there. She had the skills, she had the intelligence, she had the ability to accomplish the clinical goals. And so by removing myself, I did not introduce the possibility of referrals saying, I'm going to still send you patients, but I want to make sure Dr. McClellan sees these patients. It wasn't even an option. So that has very much helped in many ways throughout all the offices to establish that this is the clinical provider. This is who's going to see your patients. Dr. McClellan is still a part of the practice. I go to all the practices every week usually. He very much oversees everything that we do, but he is not taking on new patients in these practices. So I think that has helped from a balance standpoint to know that they're going to be busy. They're going to see as many patients as they need to see. There isn't this concern that I'm siphoning off the best referrals. Mm-hmm. And then from there, it's creating the right cadence and the right structure for us to have regular communication. Mm-hmm. I have a partner meeting every meeting each week. Jason, I know you and Krupa get together on a regular basis, whether it be in office, out office. We went through a number of different iterations with these partner meetings. I think one of the first ones we had was a 3.5-hour meeting, and we had a mentor essentially tell us that is way too much. That is not going to be sustainable. You guys need to rethink how you're doing that. And so we've tweaked that to where I have a meeting each week with my partners, and then we have a monthly all-partner meeting, and then we have a quarterly partner retreat. And that's an opportunity to get together and look at the structure of what we're doing, poke holes in it, and really try to figure out, is there something we need to change dramatically? Are we off on something?
Talk about the retreats.
Yeah, so we've only had one, and I'm in the process of planning the next one. Huh. The last one that we had, I brought in a mastermind coach to sit down and really dive into some of the pitfalls we were falling into with respect to communication. A really good example, a really good tactical example that came out of that meeting was there was a situation where one of my partners was frustrated about how something got handled. And when we got together, there was a realization that none of us really knew what had happened. We didn't really know who made the call. One of them, we had a staff member that was scheduled to support one office, and then the other partner felt that it would have been better for that staff member to go to their office. And it was just very enlightening to be able to sit there in the same room and look at them both in the eye and say, listen, we only have that one staff member. They can only go one place. If they're scheduled to be in this partner's office and something happens in your office, then I need to know about it so that I can then determine, do I need to reroute that? And you guys also have to know that if I do that, it is probably going to upset the person that I took that staff member away from. So we have to understand that we are all in this together. We're all trying to work towards our goals. And there are going to be times where there's just isn't a perfect balance. And one of you is going to be upset about it. And I want to know about it. I want to hear you. I want you to tell me why you're upset. And I want to use that information to be able to analyze what we're doing to figure out if we need to do it differently. Our upcoming September retreat that we're going to plan, we're going to dive into it in even more detail. We're going to get in a room and I'm going to tell them, just like I did last year, guys, let me have it. What's going on? What are we not doing that we need to be doing? What are you upset about? Give me examples. Give me as detailed
Concrete.
examples as you can so that I can really analyze the playbook and figure out what we need to modify.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Man, we're this far in and we haven't even dove into Adam's list really yet.
Well, I think I probably hit some of the parts.
Some of the points on there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is good stuff, man. I mean,
Well,
man, like
Do you have
you
a pink
said,
microphone? Is that pink?
Absolutely, I do.
Okay.
purple or
I'm
pink.
colorful.
Yeah,
I'm
it's kind of
colorblind.
purplish. Again, shout out to my wife for letting me use her
Shout out.
recording studio.
We thought
Anybody-
that was your choice of color there, Adam.
That's
I
fine
would
if
rep
it
it.
is.
I would rep it proudly.
Yes.
Well done.
I have a
Awesome.
question.
So,
Yeah, fire away.
On the list
What's
or
the-
not? Say that.
What's the big picture plan? Like, how young are you?
I turned 44 in October.
I mean, you're like entering a prime of sorts, if you
Yeah.
will.
Of
Yeah.
sorts.
I've got a baby due in August,
Yeah, there you go.
and that's going to be a little wild being that
Yeah,
old. I was just at my
congratulations.
25-year high school reunion over the weekend, and some of my classmates have kids going off to college, and I got one getting ready
Wow.
on the
to come
way.
into the world, which is kind of
Welcome to
crazy.
my life, yeah.
One of the interests I have is how people like yourself kind of see AI playing over into dentistry in the
Yeah.
next, let's say 5 years. And,
Yeah.
with a sizable group like what you've got going, are you looking currently for ways of implementing it? You have any eye-opening experiences with it so far?
Funny enough, it is just something that we have not looked into a lot at this point. I would say on my end, I've looked into it very little, just because, as you can imagine, we're still somewhat drinking through a fire hose with just getting our current systems calibrated across the offices. If you were to ask my opinion, I would say that it only has the opportunity to make the transaction and the sharing of information easier and better between specialists and referrals. I think that's something that I have a lot of interest in. How do we make this easier for the referring offices? And then also, how do we process that information in a way that's accurate? We're not overlooking anything. I, again, am very proud of the number of employees that we have in our group, and I have gotten to know each one of them in some capacity.
Nice.
They work hard. They're passionate. They're wonderful people. We just had our big spring social, and so many of them were there with their kids, and they were running around with our kids. My little 3-year-old Diana came in to inform me that she had a boyfriend now, which a little part of me died immediately inside. But it was just so overwhelmingly positive to see all that happen. And so whenever you've got people that talk about replacing employees, and I think Suya has talked about this at our NASP conference earlier this year, the power of human touch and the power of relationships it's just not going to be replaced by a robot anytime soon. I think there are a lot of little systems here and there that are going to be tweaked in a way that are going to make it a lot more efficient. But I can't see patients accepting calling and getting these automated robot voices, getting directed. Again, it's a great question, Seda. I wish I had a more articulate answer. I'm just not that educated on it. But certainly, if there's a way to make it better for the teams and allow for a better patient experience, I'm all for it.
I think the question, Seda, is what's your brand? And Adam knows his brand today. No, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to
customer
improve to the
service,
point
right.
that this aligns with your brand, but at the present state, some of the engagement doesn't, which I fully respect. And Suyas and I talk a lot about this stuff.
Yeah.
I love that you went straight to like the family engagement, because that's the reality of, some of the displaced transactional. I mean, the reality is that some of the employment is transactional, right? And so
Sure.
some of that is going to be replaceable, if not replaced in the very near future, if that's your brand.
Right. I think Jason said it at one point on the podcast. At least I'm going to credit him for saying it. I consider it very much an honor and a privilege to be able to do what I do. It's an honor and a privilege to be able to show up, take care of patients, help them with their concerns. And it's not without its challenges. It's not without its frustrations. I think about my amazing long-term assistant, Jessie, who's been by my side for over 10 years. She tells me all the time, no place I'd rather be, right here, chairside. And she's wonderfully passionate about taking care of patients. And right now, she's in that stage of life where she's an empty nester. Her and her husband travel around and follow the chiefs. And I'm really proud of the fact that when she's gone, the practice just runs. I think I would credit her in recognizing the fact that when she was not with me, when it was just me in the two offices, I recognized that really things just didn't run as well. And I needed to embrace the fact that she was going to be able to take vacation when she wanted to be able to take vacation. And again, speaking to the AI, nobody's going to replace her sitting there chairside, explaining what we're going to do in the procedure at a detail that makes the patient as comfortable as we want them to be.
Well said.
That's Seda. That's out of the wisdom book, bud. If self-help books worked, they'd only need one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that, Cameron.
What's that audio recording that you sent me about that Stoic one that I've listened to a couple times? Seda. Which one's that one?
That's Alain de Botton.
Is it
the wise?
I
would really highly urge everyone that I've sent that to. It's kind of like a clip of the last part of it, and
it's really good.
It really opens your eyes, and it's really dense, right? Like every sentence you've got to click back and listen to again or read again to really extract the depth of what it says. And being realistic, I think it's easier said than done.
Oh, yeah.
And I think if you can really just like key into it and make that yours somehow, it frees up a lot of your energy and emotion, if you will.
Yeah, I love that.
The one thing that strikes me as I watch you talk, it's fantastic. I see a guy who's vibrating from a place of like, your passions, your goals, and your life align. And so it's just you're exponentially achieving and returning, delivering for people and with goodness. And it's neat to come across people like that. It's very inspiring for me.
That's really nice.
And I'm sure you get a lot of support. I'm sure you have some amazing people around you.
Yeah.
And that frees your mind and your heart to kind of focus on your interests and making things better.
Oh, yeah.
And I think everyone out there is really striving for that, right?
Well, that's really nice of you to say, Seda. And it reminds me of a point that I was going to make at one point about you need to give yourself structured time to think and to analyze and to contemplate. And to your point about amazing people, I have amazing people behind me. It starts with my wife. She is the boss and a total beast. She's getting, like I said, she's getting ready to have her third child. All natural, no medicated pregnancies. Most impressive thing that I've ever witnessed in my life. And she takes care of so much so that I can be as mentally and physically prepared as I need to be to take care of this big group and make sure that everybody gets a part of me when I leave the house and I take off the dad hat and I take off the husband hat and I put on the CEO or the chief problem officer hat. So I'm incredibly thankful and appreciative of her. And like I said, I mentioned Ashley and so many of the wonderful team members that I have. One of the lists that I gave you was sort of a sarcastic one. You probably, Cameron, know which one I'm talking about, which was don't play pickleball. In December of 2023, at our all-office Christmas party, we went to a place called Chicken and Pickle.
Oh, yeah.
And I went out there, played for 5 minutes, ruptured my Achilles. Okay, it sounded like a gun
crazy.
going off. I turned and looked at my hygienist who was playing with me, and she looked at me and says, "Did you just tear your Achilles?" I said, "Yep." And I walked off and didn't make a big deal out of it because I didn't want to ruin the party. What's that old saying? I'm going to go die without, I'm going to die in private. And I went over to Ashley and I said, "I need you to take me to the hospital. I just ruptured my Achilles." And long story short, I had to step away clinically for a number of months. And it was during that time when I had the freedom to be able to analyze the situation that we were in with the practices. And I developed a new vision to take us from 3 to 5 practices.
How long ago was that, by the way?
That was 2023, December 1st, 2023. Yeah. So anybody out there that's listening, I would encourage you, do not play pickleball. I was one.
That's the moral of the story.
I was one of 6 people.
About roughly when you had the 3-year-old
It was
there,
so
Adam.
rich in dense and goodness.
I was
at
one
the end, the moral of the story is
just don't do
play
it.
pickleball.
Just don't do it. I was one of 6 people in the
funny.
surgery center at the same time having
With
surgery
pickleball
from
injuries?
pickleball injuries. Yes.
Oh.
It's a great sport. Don't get me wrong. Now, if you're young and you played tennis and you played basketball and your joints are used to that and you never really got out of shape in that regard, then you're probably fine.
Just curious, what do you do for exercise typically before that happened? Because you're obviously in good shape.
Ironically, that's nice of you to say, Seda. Ironically, my twin brother tore his Achilles about 4 years before I did. And so when he did it, it was never even on my radar that you could do that. I thought from watching movies and hearing about the stories of people doing it that you just kind of died afterwards because it was such a terrible injury. So I really adjusted the way that I worked out in an effort to not get hurt. Now I pretty much just do cardio, light weights, try to stretch, and then I try to watch what I eat for the most part. And I think once I appreciate I gave you guys a shout out beforehand. I appreciate you guys moving this so that I could go get the MRI on my elbow about 2 years ago or 2 hours ago. I'm getting ready to have elbow surgery. I'm getting ready to have a hip surgery. The hip is because of pickleball. And after that, I think I'm going to really get into a lot of Pilates and just different things to keep the body healthy. And I'm Seda, I'm glad you brought that up because Jason, I need to make sure that I give a shout out to Krupa because one of her pearls that she shared at NASP earlier this year was to go get those Ergo Loupes.
Oh, yeah.
Guys,
Game changer.
life-changing.
Game changer.
Life-changing.
Good one.
I have tried to tell every single dental professional that I have met to just go get them tomorrow. The way that my body feels and the intentionality that I had to put into just making it feel functional, it's a fraction of it used to be. I can work a full clinical day, get done, and it's just really no big deal. So if you don't have those and you're listening to this, again, thank Krupa because she's the one that didn't force me. She's the one that encouraged me and many others to get them. Go get them tomorrow and your body will thank you for it.
And on that note, we're looking for some Ergo Loop sponsors for this podcast.
Should I more importantly,
Horoscoptic? Where you at, baby?
Where
more
you,
importantly, should I show up to Zoom calls with Ergo Loops on?
Loops on?
Tomorrow, I'm going to bring my Ergo Loops on the next recording.
You
I'm
should do
serious.
that. You should do that.
Zoom calls are your surgery. You should just put like loops that look straight at the screen, right?
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Hey,
Gail.
Seda.
There you go.
That's a
There you
great.
go.
That's a great point.
Adam, I have a question. How
Fire
many?
away, buddy.
What's your like typical work schedule like? Like how many days do you see patients, if at all? Like management, et cetera.
Yeah, it's kind of gone through an evolution since we literally closed on the 4th and 5th practice on the same day earlier this year, which we're making it work. I knew that that was probably not going to be the most ideal path to take it. But up until then, I had intentionally reduced my schedule down to about one clinical day because I knew how much it was going to take to be able to weather that storm and deal with all the inevitability. Right now, I'm up to sort of 2 clinical days. I get up early. Most of the time I get up, I do a workout. Sometimes, depending on what I have going on, I get a little bit of work done. If I've got a big project where I'm sort of under the gun with respect to needing to do something, then I'll skip the morning workout and snooze that to the afternoon. But I try to work out every day in some capacity. I usually will go to one of the offices, if not multiple of the offices, on my non-clinical days. And then when I'm on my clinical days, that's an area where I'm still finding a little bit of the balance on, just because when I'm there and I'm seeing patients and I have my clinical hat on, that doesn't mean that problems can't come up with the other offices or that problems aren't going to come up that maybe Ashley needs my input on because she needs to make a decision and I don't want to slow her down.
Right.
So when I do have my clinical days, one of the things that I've learned to do is I take my iWatch off. And I don't wear that when I'm in surgery. I do not answer any emails. I'm not on social media at all, so I gave that up a long time ago to where I don't have any distractions. And my wife knows that I'm sort of in ghost protocol mode, where if she really doesn't need me for something, to just kind of hold off on talking about it until I get home. And that's where that balance comes in, because now I get home and I'm not just exhausted, right? I'm not ready to just sit on the couch and watch TV for 3 hours because I've just worked my tail off for the last 8 or 9 hours. So right now it can definitely vary, but for the most part, that's what my day-to-day looks like.
For those that don't know, this is compartmentalization and time blocking 101. No, for real. That's the secret to most people's high performer success is the ability to compartmentalize and time block.
Stated to your question, right now I'm 2 days. This Thursday actually may be my last clinical day for 3.5 months, depending on how the elbow surgery goes. If it goes well, then I'll come back and do a couple more weeks. But then my plan is to take July, August, and September off so that I can mostly be as clinically. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, Cameron. Yep. I want to be extremely present and available for my wife whenever the baby comes. We didn't time it the best. The baby's literally due when my oldest starts kindergarten. So we're going to go from having one drop off, one pickup to having 2 separate drop-offs, 2 different pickups, and of course a newborn baby at home and a sleep-deprived, exhausted wife. Going through all of that the first couple times and knowing the maybe not as desirable balance as I would have liked to have had.
I retract the wisdom comment.
I listen to what he's saying.
I just want to be extremely present for her, which then based on the structure of my schedule, I will be able to also still be available to put out any fire or deal with any problem that could occur.
Except for the timing.
Timing's a little off, but you know what? Maybe it's not. Like you're having elbow surgery. Like how else would you be able to be home and present as much, right?
Yeah.
It's actually well-timed.
Well, hopefully it all works out. We'll find out. You guys can. I'll text you all after Friday. See how it goes.
You know what? I was talking to a buddy. This was a number of years ago, and he was sharing with me all of the philanthropic things that he was doing. And he's a good guy, and he was just really proud of all of it. And I said, a humble man doesn't talk about his humility. And he didn't know how to take that. But like that, I think about you, Adam, because you're a pretty humble guy for all of that, all the things that you've powered through, the experience that you have, the work that you do. And to talk about it with the grace that you do is pretty cool, because I don't imagine that it was I don't imagine that it was as easy as you're making it sound. Because you're making it, really the smoothness that you talk about it makes it attractive. Like, I guarantee the two of these guys on the call right now are like, shit, I should do this right now. This sounds awesome.
Well, Cameron, that's maybe
Sada's
one of the most...
I'm going to have another kid at the same time. He's like, another child, perfect.
It's a very... I'm very humbled that you would say something like that. And I can tell you that the word humble for a very long time would not have been the way that people would have described me. I know that, and I embrace it, and I joke all the time with my good friends that have known me for a long time. There was always just some natural intensity and competitiveness to my personality that I blame on being a twin. It's a little unique. You're literally in competition before you're even born. So I think that somehow causes you to maybe have some sort of personality flaw or defect that is maybe neither right or wrong. But I'm very thankful that that's the opinion that you have on me, Cameron, because I work hard to be gracious and be thankful for all the gifts that I've been given and all the accomplishments that I've had. As we talked earlier, I very much
Somebody
embrace
still
the
has
fact-
to. You still have to run through the door. No, like for real. Like the opportunity presents itself, and so you still got to run through the door.
Yep.
Yeah. Chance, one of my favorite quotes from my dad is chance favors the prepared mind. And I think right now, as we have been for a number of years, we're very prepared to grow if we need to. We're very prepared to pivot if we need to. And I very much embrace the need to change or pivot. And I know that I'm not perfect. I know that I don't know everything. We mentioned Ahmed earlier, who has a wonderful group of practices in Dallas. I would literally call him up every day and be that annoying mouse bouncing next to the big bulldog because I view him as an incredible colleague and mentor and somebody that I want to learn and grow from, just like I want to learn and grow from you guys. I can't wait to be back together just to share war stories and figure out what's working, what's not working. And I would love to have a bigger platform to be able to share as much as I can, or mostly just be available. If people want to ask me a question, hey, Adam, I'm thinking about expanding to a second location. Here's the details. Would you just give me your opinion? I would welcome the opportunity to do that and help any young periodontist or even experienced periodontist for that matter. So right now,
the pie is
your
big.
Point of, yeah, it's a huge pie. You got to just
pie is big.
Share as much as you can. That's what I'm all about. And I'd like to think we have so much more that we can do and accomplish in Kansas City. And I'm excited for what that next chapter may be whenever we figure out what it's going to be.
Bravo.
All right, I gotta ask. There's one more on your list that just makes me go, okay, what does that really mean? Have a safe word and an exit code.
What is the safe word?
What's the safe word and an exit code?
Well, I wanted to bring a little humor. I think the individuals that know me pretty well could tell you that I'm a pretty funny
Rhino.
You're into S&M?
Listen,
Is that what you're trying to
For
say?
the
Don't let this
proportion of listeners that get to the end, they're going to miss the best part.
Earmuffs.
Earmuffs. That's why Adam's in a soundproof room, right?
That's right. Like I said earlier, we hit the swing. But anyway, moving on. I would tell you that Jason, you're an incredible surgeon. Seda, you're an incredible surgeon. It's no stretch of the imagination to say that I would almost guarantee that
You should see me with a knife.
Your first couple years out of residency look vastly different than they look now with respect to your confidence and your competence, right?
100%.
And I can tell you as a young surgeon, there were times when I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders. Literally, you want this reputation to be developed. You have this sense of everything needs to go perfectly. And you can start to unnecessarily raise the level of stress that you have when you're working on patients. And this sometimes still happens. This happened probably 9 months ago where I talked to my assistants afterwards. We debriefed and they said, things always tend to really work out well. I'm not sure why you're so stressed about this. And I explained some of the details. But that's where the whole concept of having this safe word comes in. And it's sort of an inside joke between me and my assistants. Our safe word is sprinkles. And I'm really happy that for many years, nobody has had to use that safe word. But if you find yourself getting to the point where you're getting stressed or you feel like your assistants might be stressed, empower them to whisper something to you and just find a stopping point, step away for 10 seconds, take a deep breath, recenter, and tell yourself, this is going to be fine. It's hard, but it's always hard. What we do is just naturally kind of a hard thing. We're doing these micro plastic surgery procedures in people's mouths, for goodness sakes.
Not microplastics. Microplastic surgery.
There you go, right?
For the listeners, don't get confused out there.
Yes.
We're not injecting microplastics.
Yes. Thank you for clarifying.
I live in California.
Yes, that's a good point. Definitely part of the country we need to make sure that they recognize. So just give yourself the grace.
I live in California, man.
Nanotechnology.
Give yourself the grace and the courtesy to know that it's going to be hard, and you're just going to make it harder if you let yourself get bent out of shape and stressed out about certain things. Yeah. So empower your assistants, talk more. I think that would be the other advice that I would give to young surgeons is talk more when you're in surgery. Consistently check in. Hey, can you guys see? Are we good here? Is everybody good? Is somebody in a weird position? Are you torquing your body? Do you need a break? Do you guys need to get some water? And then from there, also having an exit code. The wonderful periodontist that you guys interviewed early on, she spoke a little bit to this, right? Where sometimes you get just kind of hijacked in a room with a patient and you're in there dying knowing that 2 other people are waiting on you and there's just no end in sight. So we have a little bit of an exit code where if my loop light is hanging down and I put it over my folded hands and then put my finger like this, that is the code for everybody to come up with some reason to get me the heck out of the room. Because it's not that I don't want to be there with that patient. I just don't want the whole day to be run behind to run behind because they're sharing a lot of details that are just kind of unnecessary, or maybe I could route them to one of my team members to go in and carry on the conversation so that I can get out of there.
I think SATA needs a California exit code.
You can't do that.
Buddha.
I can do that.
But before we leave here, so yes,
yeah.
What's your safe word? Well, no, you got to do this before you go. What's your safe word? You got to make it up. You got to make it up now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Seda
maybe that could be the next round.
Sada's already got one. So
we don't have a safe word because it's always smooth sailing with us.
There you go.
What?
There you go.
So anyway,
always smooth.
Moving on. You see, awesome. We've reached our limit here, Adam. What else can we say that hasn't been said? I'm sure your wife is glad to know we know your safe word now.
Again, really, clinical safe word. Let's make sure that
let's be clear. It was a clinical safe word. Yes.
Clinical. But you're a leader of a team. You're a builder of enterprise. And let me tell you, that you inspire confidence. I can see it shining through you.
And a guest of the specialists.
Yes.
That's very nice, guys. Thank you.
Of the specialists.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're glad to have you, man. This has been a great episode.
Thanks so much, Adam, for joining us.
Thanks for listening to The Special Lists, presented by Referral Lab, the podcast for dentists and dental specialists, featuring a special list from a specialist. Got a question for us? Send us a message at speciallists.com with 2 L's. Transform your referral workflow with Referral Lab, the purpose-built platform for dental specialists to track, manage, and convert every referral. Request a demo at referrallab.io.